Who would have thought that a child of a domestic worker can become a prominent advocate of the people? We are here to thank her for having allowed him to participate in the revolution. We want to thank her for not deciding to convince him to get out of the revolution, because many parents would have done so, particularly if you've got this bright young person who you look up to take you out of poverty, and he decides to join the struggle, and the struggle that had only two things to deliver: either freedom or death. And very few of our people were convinced that freedom will come. Even Dali himself and his generation were no longer convinced that freedom will come. They were waiting for the day they were going to be hanged, but they were not ready to surrender. But Dali, like many other children of the domestic workers, were ready to die because they were not living. They were born in poverty. Poverty, like rape, is death. There's no life in poverty. There's no life in a shack. There's no life in domestic workers. Your mother comes back home every day with leftovers. And those leftovers are not even served properly. Everything else is mixed up in one plate. Those are the food which were meant for dogs. She was told to take those food to dogs, but she served those food for her children. Where is life in domestic work? Where is life in shacks? Where is life in villages without water and electricity? When Dali and them saw that, they said, we will rather die, because we are dead already. Many were cowards. Many are still cowards today. You will never scare a child of a domestic worker, because that child has seen everything. There are days where they sleep without food. There are days where they go to school, and when it is break time, they come back home, pretend as if they've eaten something, and return back home to school. Who are you to threaten us? Because we have seen everything. Maybe you will threaten our children, not us. Maybe you will whip them into silence, not us. Because we know where we come from. We know what our mothers have gone through. Domestic workers get raped in the backyards of white bosses. They never talk. They go to their graves with that secret. Why? Because it was that job. It was that job or poverty. They knew the day they talk, that is the end. And the end means that my children will never have anything. That's why you ought to respect these women. That's why we are madly in love with them. There's nothing that can come between a child of a domestic worker and their mothers and their garden boy fathers. This Dali has seen everything. When his house was raided, the mother sleeping, ka onorogo. I don't know what is onorogo in English. Onorogo. Those Boers just come in. Boers, I don't mean white people, because many of you think Boers is white people. Boers is the system of oppression. But Namapodisa in the house looking for him. When the mother is sleeping, male policemen open blankets in front of young boys, pushing our mothers in front of us, harassing them anyhow they so wished because they were low unto themselves. And you want to tell us to keep quiet now? We'll never keep quiet. Because the day we keep quiet, that's the day we're going back where we come from. This country was going down. When we tried to rescue it, you called us all types of names. You said they were disrespectful. These children are uncouth. But today, all of you have forgotten that. Because you have reclaimed your country from kleptocracy. Why? We couldn't keep quiet because even at a time when it was not fashionable to do so, we spoke. Dali spoke against the regime. Why would he keep quiet now? Why would Dali be scared that if I speak, I will not get a briefing as a lawyer? What is a briefing? For what briefing? You can keep your briefing, will keep our truth. Because there are so many of them who get a briefing and they live a lie. They keep quiet, they are whipped into line and they live a lie. Many of them claim to write legal reports and findings, but the reality is that it is politicians who are writing those briefings and those reports on their behalf. They've lost their independence. Why? They want a briefing as lawyers. Dali is not the type. For because if he was the type, he would not have joined the EFF. Because when you join the EFF, that's the day you sign not getting a briefing. But the people know they are lawyers. They don't want approval of anyone. If you are good, you are good. Even if they want to hate you, you are good. People kept on going to Dali. Like Winnie Mandela, they gave Winnie Mandela the mother of the nation. Dali earned the title, the People's Advocate. There's no university where you graduate the People's Advocate. The rest are advocates. Advocate Mugaitobi, advocate. But Dali is the People's Advocate. Why? No one would have silenced him. Apartheid regime failed. So we are here. When we speak about Dali, we are speaking about his mother. Because when we are young, we become our parents. So we do things that our parents do. But when we become older, our parents do things that we do. So I'll support our parents. Your mother just support parents. Yeah. We're with parents. Why? Julius. So don't be shocked when they say Ugogo was EFF. Because when they become older, then they become young. And then we assume the responsibility of being old people. So if you are a fighter and your mother has not followed you, there's something with you, wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. Why? It means you have not assumed that responsibility at home, where they see you as a father figure, as a mother figure. So, and also, as we become older, we become a reflection of our families. So if you rape, you are a representative of your rapist family. If you are a church goer, you are a representative of a church, a family that goes to church. So we represent our parents. People see our parents through us. I don't have to know Ugogo personally. I will know her through her children. And by the way, I know her. Don't leave here saying I don't know her. I've been with her. I know her. I visited her when she was sick here in East London. So let us do things that reflect our own families. If you are a coward, your family is a family of cowards. If you are a person who pretend that things are right even when they are wrong, that's who you are. Your children will be like that. We want land, not because we read about it anywhere, MC. We heard our parents complaining about this land, that the land was taken from them. And then we then went to read about it. What are they talking about, these people? And we found that it's true. If you don't want the land, it means you are settled, you are sorted. So leave us alone, we are not sorted. We want to sort ourselves out first. You cannot say there are jobs in South Africa because you are working. People are unemployed. And when people say we are unemployed, you can't say no, it is because you are lazy. No. We need the land to feed ourselves. We don't need land to produce for business. We want, the primary objective of the land is to feed ourselves. It's not anything else. The rest of other things is a capitalist mode of operation. The land is for survival. We want the land and we don't joke about it. And Mama knows, resting here, that we are going to get the land. Because she was there when we said we want free education. And they said, where will the money come from? We said the money is there. Today, free education is there. Had we listened to those who could afford, who said, no, don't fight for free education, there is no money, because they could afford. Today, hundreds, thousands children will be without education. Today, landless people want their land back. We are told about investors. We are told about the economy which is going to collapse. The same rhetoric we're told when President Mandela became president in 1994. This argument they are making is not new. Where will white people go? How can a prisoner be a president? He has never been in government anywhere. He's going to collapse this government. Some of them left. They came back as hobos. Because their money is equal to nothing when they go into dollar, pound currencies. Even today, they threaten us that they will leave. They are lying. They've got nowhere to go. The richest person in South Africa is the poorest person in Europe. Patrice's money means nothing. Otherwise, he would have left us. So, they don't have anywhere to go. If you doubt, when they left Zimbabwe, why didn't they go to Europe? They hanged around. They are here in South Africa, still looking into Zimbabwe. What's happening that side? We want to go back. They've got nowhere to go. Stop listening to that. Anyway, we don't want them to go anywhere. They must be here. We must work together. Because if they leave, they will poison the land. So they must not poison the land. How many hectares you have? I've got 70. Okay, how many are you using? 20. You shall keep 20. 50 shall be allocated not to any other person, but the person who wants the land to farm. You ought to present a proposal on how you are going to use that land. It's not free for all. You can't take the land and give to a DJ. The DJ wants to play music. He doesn't want to go into farming. The land must be given to those who want to use the land. The land must be given to people who want to produce, not to idle with the land. We don't have the land for jokes. We have the land for production. We want to multiply production in South Africa. We want the land of the mines to be given to the communities where the mine is. Stop the self-hate and think like, hey, what are we going to do with the mine? Abayilungu bazohamba, Malema uzoxosha abalungu, sizoyenzani ngemine. You are the mine manager yourself. The day you get that mine, that's the day you are going to realize that I can do this thing. I'm meant for this thing. You don't know your skills because you are not given an opportunity to demonstrate your capacity. We want to give you an opportunity, and let me tell you, you are going to fail, and we are going to keep on trying you until you get it right. We must not be told of a black failure when we give you a land and then that land was producing tea, it's no longer producing tea. Yes. So what? He can't produce tea, has never produced tea before. Let's help this person until he gets this farm right. We must not be a government that gives up on its own people easily like that. One failure, we knew black people. One failure, VPS, failure finished. Japan invested its money in Toyota. Toyota, you see today, it failed. It failed many times. But Japan never stopped putting money into Toyota until Toyota became what it is today. It was an initiative of government. They've never given up on themselves. You give up on yourselves easily. And you are told by your enemies to give up on yourself. Your enemy tells you you can't do it, and you believe that. They're every day telling you that black people cannot run a successful economy, and you believe that. Stop the self-hate. It starts with you. How does it start? They said Mama was a clean person. Clean after yourself. The day you clean after yourself, that's the day you won't take nonsense. Anyone that comes your direction must come properly. Walk properly, Chief, please. Why? You know you are clean. It starts with you. From there, you will never tolerate nonsense coming from any direction. We ought to love ourselves. Black people must love themselves. White people are not our enemies. We are our own enemies. And leave what the neighbors are saying about you. Care about what you say about yourself. So many things have been said about Dali. So many propaganda spread all over South Africa about him. But what is important is about what does he think about himself. He never feels pity and small. He never feels like, no, the world is turned against me. They said our deputy president got 10 million of VBS. And we said he did not get the money. Then they said there was a debate in parliament about VBS. I said to the deputy president, I was in Rwanda, you are going to speak there. No, President, do you think it's strategic? I say, they want you to keep quiet. They want to whip you into a silent corner and make you feel ashamed of yourself. Because they know that which they say about you is not true. It's not like they don't know. They know it's not true. But they want to silence you. Unless you took 10 million. Then you will be scared to stand before people. But if you have not taken it, you are not hearing the nonsense they are saying. Because you've got an appointment with the future. You focus on the appointment with the future. No amount of distraction should distract you. If you fail, if you feel weak, look at Mpofu here. When her child was in and out of prison, so many things were said about her. She thought she was going to be something. Look at her now. The child is locked up. It's going to die in jail. The child went in, came back. Mpofu, now she doesn't die in the village under the tree. She dies in proper facilities, well taken care of. And then she says, no, I want to go home. She goes into a house of her child. That child that so many have written off. And then in her beautiful sleep, she says, goodbye. I've played my role. You, darling, you take it from here and look after many others. She chose the right place because she had to conclude the journey she has started. And she said, it ends here, in my son's house. Because this is the son that written off. This is the son that said so many things about. This is the son that were using his name to talk bad about me, that I've accompanied others to give birth. I gave birth to nothing. Nothing came something. Thank you very much.